Damage 365 Radio with your host Kevin Nasta and John Torrey.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game, and how you play it, all about control. And if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can play it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it? I am the game.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Damage 365 Radio. This would be episode number 10 and part 1 of our double show today. I am your host, Coach Kev, along with the real number 8 JT who's in the house.
Greetings to all.
And we also have, via satellite, we have Nick the Beard in the house.
Absolutely, guys. Excited for the double show tonight.
All right, we got a great show lined up as always, and as always, let's go right into our internet social networking. You can reach Damage 365 Radio on Skype at Damage 365 Radio. Go figure. On Twitter at Damage Athletics. On Facebook at facebook.com/Damage365. You can go and like us. Or if you don't, you can go and like us. On Instagram at Damage365. Our corporate site at DamageAthletics.net, where you can visit not only us at 365 Radio, but Damage Athletics Softball that's coming to a field near you. And also you can read our blog at Blogspot just by searching Damage 365 Radio. So basically, if you can remember Damage 365 Radio, you can find us on the internet, and you can reach out and say hello. And if you don't want to say hello, you can still reach out. You really thought I was going to say something bad there, didn't you? Like, no, we won't say that. All right, let's go into our shout-outs. It's shout-out time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get some awesome birthday wishes out there. Happy birthday to Damage alum Tina Calendrillo Marciano. Happy birthday to Damage alum Kevin Cushing. And a very special happy birthday to JCW's Downboy Anthony, a.k.a. Tony Scarisi. Happy birthday to all three of you. And we all hope you have a wonderful weekend, because we know we did, and we will let you know about that briefly. We're not going to forget to press the mute button and allow us to be able to be heard. Yay! We're off to a great start. As you heard, it is now time for round number 1 of the results of the greatest big men in wrestling. I think Nick cheated and looked yesterday.
I might have taken a little with the down boys yesterday while we were at the State Man. We might have cheated a little bit and made our predictions for the Elite 8, so I don't know.
Cheaters. Did you say it?
I don't cheat.
Oh, you don't cheat? Okay. Round number 1. It was Giant Gonzalez defeating Uncle Elmer. It was the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, defeating Bastion Booger. So round number 2, it is Giant Gonzalez versus Mark Henry. Umaga fell to the overalls of Hillbilly Jim. Sorry, Samoan fans. It was Earthquake squashing Eli Cottonwood, setting up round number 2 of Hillbilly Jim versus the Earthquake. Any predictions with our first 2 matches of round 2? Giant Gonzalez and Mark Henry.
I gotta go Mark Henry out of there. When Steven, I mean, now he's been squashed a little bit, not too much, but when he was first in WWE, he was just absolutely unstoppable. To his size, his physique, and his athleticism for a man that size was just amazing. So I'm going Mark Henry out of those 2 matchups together.
Okay, what about you?
I'm going to go with Giant Gonzalez.
Ooh, the 7'6" Giant Gonzalez with the coolest bodysuit ever.
You stole my line.
Yeah.
Greatest bodysuit I've ever
I love
seen.
the fake hair. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
I need a bodysuit like that. Then I'll have a 6-pack. Yeah, instead of a keg. Hillbilly Jim versus Earthquake. Who do you got, Nick?
The Hillbilly Jim.
Hillbilly Jim. What about you?
Earthquake.
Earthquake.
I must oppose Nick.
Wow, we're on the opposite sides here,
I
JC.
see that. I'm gonna go with Hillbilly Jim myself because I grew up an '80s guy, and Hillbilly Jim was very underrated at this time, and a lot of people forgot how tall he was. Hillbilly Jim was borderline 6'9", 6'10", well over 300 pounds, moved around very well. One of the original guys that actually entered the ring climbing over the top rope. And, and the Earthquake, you know what? Earthquake, when he first came on board, when he was the Canadian Earthquake, brought in by Dino Bravo and Jimmy Hart during that push-up competition where he jumped on the back of the Ultimate Warrior. He had his good run, his run as a tag team with the Natural Disasters. He was a champion in the tag team ranks. So, Hillbilly Jim, I'm still going to go with him, despite him never holding a WWE title. Go figure.
I stand alone.
Okay. Next 2 brackets, we have Kane defeating the One-Man Gang, or Akeem, depending on when you remember watching him. And you had one of the embarrassing big men of WCW, the Yeti. He lost to Big Psycho Sid Vicious, a.k.a. Sid Justice. Haystacks Calhoun lost to Andre the Giant. And it was Rikishi defeating Matt Morgan. So, Kane versus Sid Vicious. Nick?
That's a good matchup right there. I really enjoyed that. Both those guys winning. I'm still going to have to go with Kane by a very, very slim margin in my mind.
Okay.
2 of the scariest wrestlers I've seen growing up. Used to scare the crap out of me watching them on TV. I'm going to go with Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious.
Yes.
All right. I'm going with Kane, despite not liking him at all. I like Sid Vicious less. So this is of who I do not like more. So I'm going to go with Kane. Sid Vicious, I feel, had absolutely no ability in the ring, and his characters were awful. So anyway, Andre the Giant versus Rikishi. Nick?
It's Andre. I mean, Rikishi's Rikishi. Rikishi's a great wrestler, amazing athlete for his size, like I was saying before. He had some good title runs. He was in the main event scene for a while. But it's Andre the Giant. You can't pick against him. He's been in the Final Four of almost every tournament we've had that he's entered.
True.
I'm going to go with Andre as well. Rikishi was the crowd pleaser, but no match for the big man in the ring.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold Andre down long enough in a corner to rub his sweaty ass in his face.
No stink face?
No stink face for Andre. I do think the big Frenchman is going to pound the hell out of Rikishi. Let's move on to the next tournament brackets. It was Mr. No-Show for the big event, King Kong Bundy, defeating Kamala. And it was Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Big Daddy Diesel, defeating Zeus, the human wrecking machine. And the next bracket, it was Big John Studd defeating Bryan Adams. And the Great Khali defeating Big Daddy V. Viscera. That's a little bit, maybe a shock to some, but I think people forget how mobile and dangerous and amazing that Great Khali was when he first came to wrestling. A little bit on a different end now where he can barely move. But King Kong Bundy versus Kevin Nash. Nick?
I don't know if people are going to consider this an upset, but I'm going to go with Kevin Nash in this, to be honest. I think Kevin Nash had a good run as WWF champion when he feuded with Shawn Michaels after he left him as a bodyguard. And I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to pick Kevin Nash.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Kevin Nash as well. I have to.
I'm going to go with Kevin Nash as well, only because for a guy very close to 7 feet tall, he's very agile. I mean, in his heyday, now not so much, but very agile, and he had an array of moves where King Kong Bundy pretty much used his weight to his advantage. He wasn't a very tall guy, but he, a lot like Mark Henry, he was able to use his short body and a lot of weight behind everything he did to his advantage. But I'm going to go with Kevin Nash as well in our second straight sweep of decisions. Big John Studd versus the Great Khali. Nick?
Big John Studd. Great Khali, yes, you were right. He was very agile, as agile as you can get at that size, and he had a good run as a heel. But when he turned face, he lost that enthusiasm. The fans lost that enthusiasm for him, and
Yeah.
I just can't pick him in the round.
Me neither. I got to go with Big John Studd. Competed in the Golden Era against the big men. And I can't see Khali winning this.
Well, I'm going to break our streak. I'm going with the Great Khali. Not many people will probably be able to scoop slam Big John Studd, a man that was about 6'10", maybe 6'11", pushing it in his prime, 400, almost 400 pounds, and very quick on his feet. He had thunderous, massive forearms on the guy. But Great Khali, when he first came up, I mean, this is a guy that a physical specimen. I mean, usually you see these big guys, they're heavy, they're fat, not very muscle tone to them. Great Khali, when he came in, he was ripped. I mean, even still now, his arms are pretty large, and defined for a guy his size, but he can't move. So I'm still going to go with the Great Khali and break our sweep streak.
Okay.
Let's see. Who are we up to? Did we announce the winner of those? No. Okay. We did not. It was The Big Show defeating Tyler Mane, and it was The Undertaker defeating Nathan Jones. And the final bracket, it was Yokozuna defeating Vader, and Bam Bam Bigelow defeating Tugboat. So, Big Show versus The Undertaker. Nick?
Best matchup in the second round, and I'm going to tell you right now, whoever comes out of these two matchups that are coming up in that part of the bracket will win the entire tournament. Big Show, Undertaker. When the Big Show first came to WCW, and even when he went into the WWF, it was on another level. He was on another level, and I'm going to go upset, and I'm going Big Show.
I'm going to go Undertaker, because I recall one night seeing the Undertaker chokeslam the Big Show straight to hell through the mat.
That is true. I do remember that myself.
I can see it happening again.
It's tough.
I told you, it's a very tough decision.
It's a tough decision because of the arsenal that The Undertaker has. I don't see him getting Big Show up in a last ride. I don't see The Undertaker putting him in a tombstone. I can see him choke slamming, but choke slamming is a dime a dozen these days. It's not really a finishing move, even though Kane still uses it. Where the Big Show, I think, can manhandle The Undertaker, can powerbomb The Undertaker, can knock him out with that punch. So I'm going with the Big Show. So all you do is walk into that fist once, and it's lights out, my friend.
Yep.
You tell somebody that's already dead.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But as Bobby Heenan said once before, how can you kill this guy? He's already dead.
You don't.
How do you kill a dead man? Well, let's see. Yokozuna versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Nick?
Actually, to be honest, Bam Bam Bigelow is actually one of my favorite big men of all time. I love his character. I love his moveset, and I'm going to go Bam Bam Bigelow in this match.
I agree with Nick, 100%. Couldn't have said it better.
Despite living in New Jersey and being a fan of Asbury Park's amusement park and living on the Jersey Shore, I'm going to go with the former WWE champion Yokozuna and the very agile Asian 480-pound giant. So I'm going to go with Yokozuna on this one. So to recap, round number 2, Yokozuna versus Bam Bam Bigelow, The Big Show versus The Undertaker, Big John Studd versus The Great Khali, King Kong Bundy versus Kevin Nash, Andre the Giant versus Rikishi, Kane versus Sid Vicious, Earthquake versus Hillbilly Jim, and Giant Gonzalez versus Mark Henry. Round number 2, the greatest big men of all time. Tweet us your predictions at Damage Athletics, or send us through Skype at Damage365 Radio, or at Facebook at facebook.com Damage365, and let us know who you think will be victorious in round number 2 of the greatest big men in wrestling. Our next segment, I'm looking forward to. I'm very, very excited to play this. An announcement that occurred this past Monday Night Raw, and it makes us excited because we will have his son on the show in a couple of weeks, and we'll be able to talk about this more in extent. So stay tuned for the Hall of Fame announcement of the late, great manager of The Undertaker, Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer was the most unique manager we've ever had because he managed the most unique individual.
What better man to guide the career of The Undertaker than Paul Bearer?
Paul Bearer really was a big part of adding that mystique to The Undertaker.
I've never seen anything like it. Paul Bearer, commanding the spirit of The Undertaker.
I really feel that Paul Bearer had a great deal to do with the success of The Undertaker. It was just perfect. With the urn, the ashes.
And he had that high, shrivelly voice.
He's scared of my Undertaker. Oh, and I wonder why.
Whoever he was with is automatically legitimized.
Undertaker, Mankind, Kane.
He was just very important to the overall presentation.
That's a testament to how good Paul Bearer was.
You are my personal instrument of destruction. Death, oh, what a word. Casket, oh, what a word. Oh, bodies.
He added a great deal to us. So I guess he was probably the most unique manager in the history of the business.
Congratulations to the late, great Paul Bearer, inducted into the 2014 Hall of Fame.
And the world's gonna know your name. Yeah. 'Cause you burn with the burning flame. Yeah. And the world's gonna know your name. Yeah. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You know the distance, you can run the mile.
And congratulations to the late, great Paul Bearer, former manager of not only The Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, and Vader. A lot of people forget about Vader, but he was the manager of Vader. And a lot of people forget that The Undertaker was originally managed by Brother Love. And Paul Bearer came on the scene, and you heard at the beginning of that promo how Paul Bearer was announced by Brother Love as who else would be the best manager for The Undertaker but Paul Bearer? And absolutely true. And they were like two peas in a pod. Without one, I don't think the other would be as popular. And, without Paul Bearer, I don't think many people would be talking about The Undertaker. And it was...
he gave great
it was
significance to
great.
the character.
It was great, though. It was just like...
When he held that urn up.
Oh, it was freaky. How about the one match when he held the urn up, and then the light came out of the urn, and it was pointing towards the ceiling of the whatever arena they were in, but it like had the kind of like the dust that was in the light. It was really freaky. I mean, nobody's intro gives me chills, but The Undertaker's. Still.
And the storylines wouldn't have been the same without Paul Bearer either. Storylines between Kane and The Undertaker, Mankind and The Undertaker, Mankind, Kane. It was a crazy four-way between those four storylines, just because Paul Bearer would betray The Undertaker and go to Mankind. And I thought when he betrayed The Undertaker with Mankind, it was unbelievable because everybody was so shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that, and and Paul Bearer's voice itself was a promo enough just listening to him talk, and I think a lot of his influence I see now in wrestling through Bray Wyatt.
Yes,
I can see that.
That very dark promos with the low lit background and the very dark storylines and
mysterious.
The very scary, but it just I see a lot of Paul Bearer influence in Bray Wyatt, and why not? I mean, Bray Wyatt is the son of Mike Rotunda, right? Mike Rotunda's been in the business for 40-something years. He's worked with and alongside and during the same era as Paul Bearer and The Undertaker, even way before The Undertaker was around, when Paul Bearer was known as Percy Pringle, and Mike Rotunda was Mike Rotunda before he was IRS, and a lot of these people forget who these guys were before seeing them on WWE, and this is why the WWE Network is going to be so great, because of the single fact that you're going to be able to go back now and see where it all began, who it began with, all the different wrestlers who used different gimmicks over the years that people don't remember. And like I said, Mike Rotunda before he was IRS. A lot of the wrestling fans now only remember him as IRS. They don't remember him as Mike Rotunda.
And a lot of people also forget, like, if you want to bring up where people started with different gimmicks, you bring back Stone Cold, like back in his WCW days. A lot of people don't know that he is a original Paul Heyman guy.
Yep.
Exactly. And just a lot of these guys actually started in WCW when WCW first came around, and then they came over to the WWE.
No, absolutely. And
there's all that in the WWE
I mean,
network.
there's a lot of it. If you go back, we were just talking about The Undertaker himself. The Undertaker was in WCW back in the day. He was known as Mean Mark Callis. And he used to walk the top rope. He used to walk the top rope back then and do his move. He had short red hair on the top with a red mullet. I always remember. And he was he was like mean Red Mark or Mark Red, or even before those days. He was doing his thing. But right now. We're going to go to our caller, and we're going to play his intro music right now. So everybody stay put as we welcome Dwyer Brown from Field of Dreams, and we'll talk to him a little bit about his book and everything that's going on in his life. So sit tight and enjoy this clip.
Good night, Ray. Good night, John. Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
And everybody remembers that moment, that tear-jerking moment in Field of Dreams, the Kevin Costner having a catch with his dad, and that was Kevin Costner's pain that needed to be eased. As you remember, ease his pain. But it was Kevin Costner, and the man who was known as John Kinsella in that movie is on the air with us now. Dwyer Brown, welcome to Damage 365. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hey, Kevin, want to have a catch?
I still got snow in my backyard, but I'm sure we can shovel a path.
Maybe we'll shoot some pucks around instead of baseball.
Yeah, we can use it. Yeah, we can play some frozen pond pool on top of my pool. We can play some ping pong. Welcome to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you. I mean, you've been a part of absolute baseball history, one of the greatest movies, if not one of the greatest baseball movies ever made. And, we got lots of questions to ask you. But first, I just want to introduce you to my co-host next to me, JT, and my co-host that's with us through satellite, Nick, who's on the line with us. Guys, here's Dwyer Brown, the man that played Kevin Costner's father in Field of Dreams.
It's a pleasure. I'm humbled.
Pleasure to meet you.
I'm Jack. I couldn't wait for this interview. I mean, I watched Field of Dreams. I don't care where it is in the movie when it's on TV, and I'm like a big old crybaby, and I cry at the end, and I don't care who knows.
Well, I've heard that from so many people and witnessed it myself. It's usually, to me, it's always the biggest, toughest guys who are reduced to whimpering fools by the end of that movie, and to me that was part of the phenomenon that made it such a amazing part of my life.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get right into this. So how did you come about even getting the role in the movie?
Well, it came about just like most of my other jobs. My agent gave me a call. They were casting this. There was a breakdown that said, they were looking for this role, and I had read the book Shoeless Joe that it was based on. A friend of mine from high school named Mark was a creative writing major, and he sent it to me a few years before, so I was already in love with the book, and so when I heard they were making the movie, I was pretty excited about it.
All right, cool. At the time that you got the call, was Kevin Costner already locked into the character, or were they doing all the characters, kind of the side characters first before they got to the main guy?
Well, the way things work mostly out here in Hollywood, or at least did at the time, was that you didn't get a go or a green light on a picture until you had some sufficient star power or some incredible director attached to it, and they had just locked up Kevin to do the part. He'd already shot Bull Durham, and they almost weren't. He was number one on their list, but they weren't going to ask him because, I mean, at that time baseball movies were kind of a kiss of death, and let alone doing one, they were sure he wasn't going to do a second one in a row. But Kevin being Kevin, kind of doing things that nobody expects him to do, and also loving baseball as much as he does, he jumped on board, and then they auditioned for everybody else.
I can't see another character playing that role other than Kevin, and I mean, and he didn't even stop there. He went on to do a third baseball movie many years later for the Love of the Game, which was another tear-jerking baseball movie. So he's the perfect guy to do baseball movies. I don't care how old he was or is now. He's got my vote for a baseball movie. But how was it to work with Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones, Ray Liotta? I mean, how did it? I mean, Ray was still young at the time, not known yet. I mean, eventually he would get bigger roles. But how is it to work with some of these guys that, in my eyes, they're all Hall of Famers in your industry?
Well, let me go back just a second. You mentioned you can't imagine anybody else doing the role. Well, in the book I talk about, they had almost signed Robin Williams to play Ray Kinsella, if you can imagine such a thing.
No, I don't.
But again, they were trying to lock up a star so they could get a green light for the picture. But as far as working with Kevin and Ray and James Earl, I mean, it was just a dream come true for me. Kevin was, just an actor who'd done everything better than I had done it. I mean, he'd gotten in some good movies, and he started his own production company and started making, writing, and directing his own movies. And at least that was to come anyway. I mean, they were working on the script for Dances with Wolves while we were shooting Field of Dreams, so he was definitely on his way. But Bull Durham came out, I think, in June of '88 when we were shooting in Iowa, so he was just exploding, and it was very interesting to watch his. I mean, he was just so nice to people that came up to him. But in Iowa, you can imagine, in the middle of farm country, to suddenly have a star of his magnitude and heat was quite an experience just to be around. James Earl was probably more. I was more intimidated to meet him than anyone, and he was just the nicest guy. Burt Lancaster. I was a kid. I mean, he was a guy I watched when I was growing up, and that was fantastic. And Ray Liotta, who sounds exactly like you guys, by the way, another Jersey guy. He was fantastic. I got some stories about him in the movie too. He is pretty much as you would imagine he would be. He's funnier than you would imagine him to be, but he's got this kind of scary air about him, but I ended up hanging out more with Ray probably than anybody else on the shoot.
Well, of course, he's got the, even though we're originally from New York, but he's got that stereotype Italian kind of, he must be a mobster kind of dialogue.
Right, he sure does. And, my dad is from New Jersey, so I spent many summers down in Belmar and Asbury Park, and so, anyway, he was somebody whose demeanor I recognized from spending time on the East Coast there. So.
And then how could you not be intimidated by James Earl Jones? He's freaking Darth Vader, man.
I know. Well, I wrote a funny story in there because I was just. I mean, I just didn't want to make a fool of myself. I was just sure I was going to, sound like an idiot. And, I mean, I succeeded in that. But he was just so gracious. And strangely, my son, I have a son who's a freshman in high school. And, he knows I was in the movie. But his wallpaper for his phone is the picture of James Earl Jones. I mean, irregardless of my having worked with him, he's just a fan, and he inspires that kind of loyalty and admiration, I think, from everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Nick, did you have any questions?
Yeah. Who was your? Growing up, obviously, you're gonna be a baseball fan. Who was your biggest baseball influence going into that movie? Like, who did you always want to meet growing up? Favorite player or anything like that?
Well, I guess when I was a kid, I was a big Roberto Clemente fan. I grew up in Ohio, and he was just over there in Pittsburgh where my cousins lived and all that stuff. And I guess I just admired the fact that he played so hard and so well, and kind of did it with a real humility, and he did all that charity work. And I wrote a story in the book, but it's probably I think we're going to cut it, unfortunately. But just about a story I had with my grandfather and Roberto Clemente, and just that when Clemente died in that tragic plane accident, just after getting his 3,000th hit, that was crushing. But I'm glad he didn't end up at 2,999. It was appropriate that he at least made it to 3,000.
Absolutely. Goodness for that. Do you still speak to Kevin Costner?
When I run into Kevin, when he did Swing Road a couple years ago, he did a screening here in Ventura County because he kind of grew up in this area where I live now, which is about 80 miles outside of LA. And so he did a big fundraiser there and came and his band played and he gave me free tickets to come see the band and the show, and it was great, catching up with him and all that stuff. But he's always been so nice to me, after the movie was out, and he would, if I got something from Universal to donate to a charity, he would always sign it, and he'd sort of stop his day and come out of his production office and talk to me, and he's always just been a real prince of a guy.
Oh, that's good to see. A man that remembers his roots and doesn't forget that the fans make you the superstar, and always give back to the fans, which was always great to hear. Now that it's all over and done with, many years have gone by since this movie has come out. How do you feel personally to be part of one of the greatest baseball movies, if not one of the greatest movies ever made?
Well, of course I'm honored. It's by far the best thing on my resume, which is a sentiment I heard over and over again from people I was interviewing for my book. Everybody that that worked on a million other movies that made more money or whatever had a bigger pedigree or whatever, but this is the one that they're proud of, and I feel honored. Part of the reason I started writing this book, it's called If You Build It, and what motivated it was over the past 25 years since that movie came out, I've had dozens and dozens of people just come up to me in the strangest circumstances, who recognize me from the movie and start to tell me these incredible stories of how that movie changed their lives with their fathers, usually, or their sons, or that they hadn't talked to them in 15 years, but when they saw that movie, they just went and grabbed their dad and told them to come with them, and they watched the movie again, and that they managed somehow from just watching the movie to let go of their resentment towards each other and start a new relationship. And I've been in a lot of movies, over 100 movies and TV shows and films and plays over the years, and that's what all of us, I think, hope for. I mean, even your radio show, there must be people that come up to you and tell you, some great thing you did on your show, and there's nothing more rewarding than having that sort of feedback about doing something that you love to do. So that's sort of what prompted me writing down these stories in the first place. They just kept happening. In fact, one happened just like 3 weeks ago. A guy came up to me and told me this outrageous story, so I managed to get it in the book before I sent it off to the publisher. So it's even still happening 25 years later.
Nice. I mean, and it's probably going to happen for the rest of your life. I mean, it's, movies don't go away. I mean, they're around forever. As long as there's something that we can watch it on, there's always a way to get a movie. And there are more and more things to watch them on.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be in your living room anymore. I mean, you can be on a plane, you can be walking down the block watching it on your phone, your tablet, everything now. And, I don't know anybody on this planet that hasn't seen the movie Field of Dreams. And if there's any of our fans out there that have not seen the movie, you need to immediately go to your nearest retail establishment, pick up the movie, then go have your head checked, and then go home and watch it, and give us a call and let us know what you think, because if you're not crying at the end, you're not human, and you need to go back to whatever planet you're from. Tell us about the book. I mean, you gave us some tidbits about the book, and you're writing a book and this part in, but tell us about the book. Give us the name of the book, your expected release date, and where everybody can go and get this book.
Well, great, thank you. The book's called If You Build It. I had titled it Want to Have a Catch, but just found out, through some informal polling that If You Build It, I think, is a better title. It's a book about, the little byline is a book about fathers, fate, and Field of Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There's information about it on my website, which is DwyerBrown.com. That's D-W-I-E-R, Brown like the color. And one of the things, we're releasing it for Father's Day this year. So in a couple of short months, it'll be out here. And I'm planning an old-fashioned barnstorming RV book tour. I'm going to try to take the book on the road with a big RV into the Midwest and, take it to minor league ballparks. And, if people are interested in the book, I'll sign them a book and they can enjoy it. And there's a big Father's Day event at the Field of Dreams for the 25th anniversary this year. And so I'm supposed to be there. And so I figured I'd just take my RV there and take my son and my wife and my daughter when she gets back from studying abroad, and we'll just have a kind of a nice time out on the baseball field. And the other thing we're doing is we're doing an Indiegogo campaign, one of those crowdfunding things, so that I can extend my RV tour as much as I can. That should be on the website in the next couple days. We're editing the video together right now, so people can pre-order the book, then you'll be the first ones to get them. The book's probably going to run for $18 on the bookshelves, but for $25 you can get an autographed copy and help me to take my book tour on the Midwest minor league baseball tour. So there you go.
Nice. I mean, for all our fans out there, absolutely go out there and DwyerBrown.com. See if you can pre-order that book. Spend the $25. get the autographed copy. Maybe we can get Dwyer up to the Northeast on his tour, and we can hang out with him, have some pizza, send him home with some real bagels for the rest of his road trip, and it'd be really cool. And you can count on me definitely picking up the $25 contribution for the book. I don't really read books because it requires more of attention span than 30 seconds. So
read that autograph, though.
But I can read the autograph, and I can frame it, and I can put it on my wall and say, I had that man on my radio show. He's a cool dude. So, Nick, did you have anything else to add?
No, but I'm a big reader myself, actually, and I'll absolutely 100% be picking up that book and checking it out. I'm very excited to take a look at it.
And I'll definitely buy JT a frame because he doesn't read anything either.
But I'll buy the book anyway.
Right. Well, that's all I need. It's a great doorstop if you never even open it, and there's going to be some cool pictures in it, and I have a feeling I made nice short chapters, so you guys are going to be sitting on the can one day, and you're going to pick it up, and you're going to like it so much you're going to read it.
You see, a man after my own heart. He knows exactly where I do all my reading. So, other than your RV tour, are you going to do any Barnes and Nobles? I don't even know where there's another bookstore. Do they even have any other bookstores besides Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of. the whole idea of this RV book tour is to kind of make it kind of personal. These stories came to me just in the strangest circumstances. I was in a tire store one day, and some guy came up to me, and I've been in airports and bookstores, and people just find me and start telling me these stories. So my idea was to kind of take it back to the people, on the road and hit the smaller venues, hit minor league ballparks. And, if a bookstore is interested, I'd love to, drop off books or, sign things for people. And I would just love to meet the people that have sort of made this dream of mine come true. So awesome. I'm looking forward to, hooking up with any kind of bookstore that might be interested in having me.
All right, cool. I mean, I hope everybody goes out there and purchases the book and spends a couple extra bucks, help your tour, and definitely if you know for sure you're coming up to the Northeast, hit us up. We'll have you on the show again right before you head out, and we'll promo it some more so we get some nice big turnouts at some minor league ballparks in New York, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania, or even the New England areas, and we'll definitely come see you in person because it's always great to meet our guests and put a face with the voice and not only just have to rely on Facebook and things, social networking, but to actually shake the hand of our guests. It's always a thrill. So we do want to wish you luck on your book tour, on your RV tour. Just the RV tour without even mentioning the word book is just cool in itself.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm excited about just about seeing the country. And I was born in Pittsburgh, and so I'm probably going as close as Pittsburgh. So on the website, there's a place if you want me to come by and you can put together some people to make it worthwhile for me to stop by. I'd love to put you on the tour. So
awesome. You know what? I'm sure we can work something out.
We'll get on that
between our my baseball contacts with Major League Baseball and all our wrestling contacts. I am definitely sure that we can get something not too far from the Pittsburgh area and do something pretty cool. Especially in the Pennsylvania area where it kind of looks like Iowa sometimes. But
I drove that from Ohio all the way across Pennsylvania to New Jersey when I went to my dad's house. So I know that stretch.
All right, well, we wish you luck, and again, keep in touch with us and let us know what's going on. And if you build it, we'll be coming to the bookshelves and Amazon and all those other fun places that you can buy a book, and DwyerBrown.com on Father's Day. So go out there and get it. Help Daddy Kinsella sell some books, and we wish you luck. And thank you for giving us a call. And like I said, keep in touch.
Hey, thank you so much, Kevin, JT, Nick. It's been fantastic, and I wish you guys the best. And maybe I'll see you this summer.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Dwyer Brown, ladies and gentlemen, and it's coming to the end of our program. And remember, there is a part 2 to today's program. It will be at 7 o'clock, so give us a 15-minute break to grab some water, Drop the Obamas off at the pool if we have to do that.
Right.
And anything else that needs to be done. Remember, even in part 1, help control the network population and have your friends spayed or neutered, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to episode 10. We'll see you on the flip side of 15 minutes.
Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay.